Hello. This is going to be the start of a vlog. It is September 25th. So we're near the end of September. So this is going to take us into October as well because I'm going to be reading. During this vlog, I'm going to be reading The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. This is a reread, but I want to experience it again and try and understand it more because I found it confusing the first two times I read it. So I'm going to take you guys along on the journey of me reading this book. Essentially chapter by chapter. I'm gonna discuss the chapters, I guess, with you guys and try and figure it out. Just to discuss the story and hopefully like it better than I did last time. Because I love the movie so much. Or movies so much. I've only seen 2 movies of it, I think. I don't know how many there are, but I'll look into that. So right now I'm going to start chapter 1. And then I'll report back. I'll just read what it says on the back here. In Paris, terror stalks the Opera Garnier. Stories of a terrifying ghost haunting the theater create panic amongst the musicians and audience. But the ghost is no supernatural phenomenon, and but a living deformed man, Eric, who is hopelessly in love with a promising singer, the beautiful Christine Daae. I think it's pronounced Daae, I don't know. It has like a doohickey thing with the E. When her childhood friend Raoul begins courting her, Eric erupts in jealousy and soon the ghost becomes violent and reckless. Combining the atmospheric character of gothic horror with a tale of ill-fated romance, The Phantom of the Opera has been loved by readers worldwide since its first publication in 1925. Classic 20s. So I'm going to go get started on that, and I will report back. I'll take some notes, and then we can discuss it. Oh, what fun. Oh, and also I have my hat on, to get in the spirit things. Actually, I have it on also because I just filmed some Halloween-y type videos, so if you haven't seen those yet, go check them out. They should be up by now. So I read the introduction, prologue, and chapter 1 of Phantom. I made some notes to go over. So, Gaston Leroux, the author, was born in 1868 and he died in 1927. And The Phantom of the Opera was published in 1910, it said. And I said on the back it said 1925. I guess that's a typo. I don't know. Anyway, it was published in 1910 to lukewarm reviews. So I guess it wasn't very well received. I don't know. Gaston's first book was called The Mystery of the Yellow Room, which I haven't heard of, but I'm going to look up. The first film adaptation of Phantom of the Opera was in 1915, but it's a lost film. And then in 1925, an adaptation starring Lon Chaney came out. And I've seen that one, and it's so good. I like it a lot. His face is so good, like, with the makeup and everything. And then also the introduction spoke about Andrew Lloyd Webber, his musical, which would be so cool to see on Broadway. That'd be, like, so cool. And then also, like, that Broadway musical is very successful. Or, I don't know the Broadway one, but anyway, the musical is successful. And it's been in 147 or 145 cities have produced it, apparently. It's very successful. And then this book here was translated from French by Alexander Teixeira de Matos. I always find that translations are kind of, I don't know, hard to read, awkward to read, which I do find with this one already, but I mean, it's not that bad, I guess. And then I read the prologue, which I'll tell you the little thing that said at the beginning of the prologue. It says, Prologue, in which the author of this singular work informs the reader how he acquired the certainty that the opera ghost really existed. I don't know. I didn't really understand that part. Like, is this like a joke, or is the author saying that there's really an opera ghost? And then it was describing how the author came to believe the phantom was real. There's a character called the Persian. I'm not really sure who that is. He said that he's met the ghost. And they were talking about letters of Christine's. I don't know what letters. The letters to who, I don't know. They mentioned Christine's kidnapping. And they're talking about the Shagny. I don't know how to pronounce that. Shagny case, which is Raoul and his older brother Philip. That's their last name. Philip had died and Raoul disappeared. This is kind of like spoiler. Yeah. Guess I should like preface this by saying that I'm going to be talking about what happens in the book. So if you don't want to know what happens in the book, then like buyer beware. And then they found a corpse under the opera house, and the author believes it's the phantom. And then the author thanks a bunch of people who helped him with details of the story, and some of them are characters that are in the book. So I guess he's pretending in the prologue that the phantom is real to like introduce a story, like why he wrote it. He's not making this up. It actually happened. I guess it's that kind of thing. I don't know. It's kind of confusing, but that's an interesting like writing idea, like plot device thingy to, I don't know, create interest, I guess. And then I read chapter 1, which is titled "Is It the Ghost?" And it opens with the managers of the opera retiring. And a bunch of ballerinas run scared into La Sorelli's dressing room, and that's one of the principal dancers. And they say, like, it's the ghost, it's the ghost. And they describe the ghost as extraordinarily thin, like a skeleton, eyes so deep you just see 2 big black holes, nasty yellow skin, barely any nose, and 3 or 4 long dark locks of hair. And he wears dress clothes, apparently. And there's tons of people who claim to have seen him. And apparently he goes around causing accidents or incidents. Like, they didn't really go into that. I'm not sure about that part. Then we're introduced to Meg Giry. She's one of the ballerinas. And I think she's also Christine's friend. I'm not sure. And Meg's mother is mentioned too as being in charge of the ghost box. Opera box number 5. No one else can buy that box. The ghost has had it for over a month or so. The ghost does come to the box, but no one sees him, or they only hear him. And then the scene shifter, Joseph Buquet, is discovered dead, hanging in the 3rd floor cellar, and everyone thinks the ghost did it. And when they go cut him down, the rope is gone, which I don't really understand. He's hanging there without the rope, or he's on the ground. Like he fell because there was no rope. I don't know. And that was pretty much the end of the chapter. Christine wasn't really in that chapter introduced at all. I'm not sure. I think she moves there or something. She moves there from somewhere. So maybe she'll come along soon. So those were about 3, well, not 3 chapters, but like the introduction, prologue, and chapter 1. So I will update you again soon when I've read more of the book. Hello. It's a couple days later on September 27th. Yep. And I've read 3 more chapters of Phantom of the Opera. So let's go into my notes here. Notebook. I read chapter 2, which is called The New Margarita. I'm guessing they're not talking about the drink. It's a character in their ballet or musical thing, whatever you want to call it, opera. So we're introduced to Count Philip, which is Raoul's brother. And he compliments Christine's singing, and Meg says 6 months ago that she sang like a croc. So maybe they're not friends, like I was thinking. And I also wonder if Christine is getting music lessons. Everyone is amazed at how Christine sang. And then Philip and Raoul's families discussed. Philip is a count, whatever that means, and Raoul is a sailor, and they have like a 20-year age gap between them. Which is, I guess, a big gap, but then they do mention that they have sisters as well, which is interesting. And they're also rich, I believe. They definitely seem like they're rich, like they have a lot of land or something. And then Christine faints after her performance, and I don't really know why, but she's brought to her room, and Raoul goes to see her, but she says she wants to be alone. And Raoul is like head over heels in love with her already. I don't know, like, if he's been like watching her for like a long time or whatever, but I think he knows her from when they were children or something. They briefly mentioned that. I didn't really go into it. Anyway, he goes to go visit her. But when he goes to the door, he hears a man's voice inside her room. Scandal. His heart is shattered. And he decides to wait and see who comes out. Eventually, Christine comes out, but she's alone. So after she leaves, Raoul goes in the room and he explores it. And he sees that no one's there, and he thinks that he's going mad. And we're on chapter 3, which is called The Mysterious Reason. And then in this chapter, we're like back to celebrating the retirement of the managers. And then there's a sighting of the ghost in the crowd that was too quick for anyone to notice. So I don't know how they saw him in the first place. And then the new managers are introduced. There's a second sighting of the ghost, and this time he speaks. He says that the scene shifter's death, Joseph Buquet, it wasn't natural. And I guess he means like it wasn't an accident. I wonder who did it. So the ghost is telling the old managers what to do, and if they don't listen, something bad happens, for example, an accident. The new managers think it's a joke, and they laugh. And the old managers were also paying the ghost 20,000 francs a month and leaving box 5 for his use. The new managers seem like they're not going to go along with this, so I wonder what will happen. And then the other chapter I read was chapter 4, which is called Box 5. So the new managers got on with their duties, like whatever those are. I guess they have to like say who was getting to perform and stuff like that, like performances, what performances they're doing. And they receive a series of letters from the Phantom. The first letter talks about Christine not getting a good part and that they sold his box, the Phantom's box. Can you imagine? They sold it. That's not like I said stole it. They sold it. The managers still think it's a joke being played by the old managers, and they let the old managers have the box. Then there's another letter, and the ghost demands his allowance. It's a funny way to put it. And then still they don't believe, and the box is sold again to like other people. The people who bought it say they heard a voice tell them the box was taken, but the box was empty at the time, so who spoke? They call in the box keeper, Madame Giry, who's Meg's mom, Meg, one of the ballerinas. She says, of course, it was the opera ghost, of course. She wants them to listen to the ghost, or else terrible things will befall them. Madame Giry seems on good terms with the ghost, but she hasn't actually seen him, just heard him. And I find that part very confusing. Like, he's a real person, so how can he be in the box and they don't see him? I don't know. Anyway, the managers decide to check box 5 out for themselves, and that's where it ended. So 3 more chapters down. Disgust. So I will see you next time. Hello. It is September 29th. And I have more updates to give you about the Phantom of the Opera. So, now we're on chapter 5, which is called The Enchanted Violin. And we're back with Christine, talking about her career. The author says he thinks she was scared of success. And Raoul is still trying to meet her, and one day she sends him a note saying she hasn't forgotten the little boy who went into the sea to rescue her scarf, and says they used to play together as kids, but they said goodbye. Then we learn Christine is Swedish, and her father was musical and taught her music. And Christine's mom died, and she and her dad traveled to the fairs playing music. And a professor heard them and was amazed at their talent, and he provided for Christine's education. And she met Raoul, and they became friends. Christine's dad tells her stories of the Angel of Music, which seems like where you get your musical talent from. And I believe Christine's dad tells her that when he dies, he'll send the Angel of Music to her. So her dad died. Sad. And Christine goes to a conservatory for lessons, I guess. In Christine's note to Raoul, she tells him that she's going to see her father's grave, and he follows her there and confesses his love. And Christine tries to put him off, I guess, and Raoul confronts her about the voice he heard in her room, and she gets upset and runs away. Eventually she explains to him that he heard the Angel of Music inside her room, who was giving her daily music lessons. Raoul laughs, and she runs away from him again. When all this running away is happening, Raoul and Christine are staying at an inn called the Setting Sun, which is a super cute name. And Christine goes out in the middle of the night, and Raoul follows her to the graveyard where they hear beautiful music. And Raoul tries to find the culprit and catches sight of someone with a the head of death, I guess. And he faints, and he nearly freezes to death because he stays there like all night. What fun. And then we're on chapter 6, which is called A Visit to Box 5. And we're back to the manager's exploration of Box 5. They look at it on the grand tier, whatever that means, but they can't see it very well because it's half in darkness. Like, it's dark, so I can't see. They think they see a shape in the box and are briefly scared, but when they actually go inside, there's nothing there. And they make plans to watch Faust, which I guess is the opera that they're going to be performing, from Box 5 themselves. That one was a really short chapter. And then there's chapter 7, which is called Faust and What Followed. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Faust. And then a letter from the opera ghost telling the managers that unless he gets his box, his allowance, that's so funny, Madame Giry's help, like her job, I think they want to take her job away from her, and that Christine will sing the role of Margarita. Terrible things will happen if, he doesn't get his way. And there's a problem with the stable. Apparently there's a stable in the cellar of the opera, which seems strange, but they use the horses in the opera. Anyway, one of the horses is missing. The stable manager says the ghost stole it. This makes one of the managers foam at the mouth. It actually said that and I laughed so hard. Carlotta is to play Margarita, and she receives a letter saying that she should stay home or risk a fate worse than death. She decides to disregard the letter. She doesn't want Christine to upstage her. The managers sit in Box 5 and wait for the Phantom to show up, and they talk about replacing Madame Giry with one of the manager's concierge. Carlotta is singing away on stage, and Raoul is super sad over Christine. And then suddenly Carlotta croaks in the middle of the song. It sounds like she died, but she just had a frog in her throat. She tries to go on, but it keeps happening. The managers think that they feel the Phantom laughing behind them, but then they hear him speak, and he says Carlotta is singing to bring the chandelier down. And then the chandelier, guess what, actually falls on the crowd, injuring many and killing one person. And guess who that one person was? It was the very woman the managers want to replace Madame Giry with. Coincidence? I think not. So those were the next 3 chapters that I read. So we are now on chapter 8 there. So far I am enjoying it. I think a lot better this time. I don't know if it's like helping to make notes about it. I mean, that was my idea because I thought it would help me understand it better, since I find the writing very kind of confusing, the way it's written. I do find that I like the way it's written in the sense that they include like letters and memoirs, like excerpts of memoirs and kind of interviews, newspaper, that kind of stuff. I think that's always like fun and interesting in books. So I'll update it later. Hello, it is October 3rd. That's why I have my hat on. We're officially in Spooky Month. And I have been remiss in updating you with my Phantom of the Opera reading vlog. So I think I'm going to do talk about 6 chapters today instead of 3. Since I have read quite a bit, I just haven't been filming it. So chapter 8 is called The Mysterious Braham. Anyway, it's a carriage. After the disastrous performance, Carlotta fell ill and Christine disappeared for 2 weeks. And the managers are freaking out, and maybe they don't think it's a joke anymore. And the chandelier is said to have fallen because of wear and tear on the chains. Yeah, right. And Raoul is desperate to find Christine, and he goes to her benefactor, and she's the wife of the professor who discovered Christine and her dad's talent. And the benefactress tells Raoul Christine is with her angel of music. Raoul is confused, to say the least. They talk about how Christine can't marry because the angel of music forbids her, saying she'll never see him again if she does. Raoul thinks that Christine is seeing another man. He doesn't believe this angel of music business. He cries to his brother Philip, who tells him Christine was spotted in a brougham with a man. Raoul goes to see for himself, and he sees her there. He calls to her, and she ignores him. He's very distraught, and he goes home, and there's a note for him in the morning from Christine. There's a masked ball at the opera, and she tells him to go and meet her there. Chapter 9 is called At the Masked Ball. Yay, a masquerade. What fun. Paper faces on parade. Raoul goes to the ball even though he's torn. They find each other and they see someone in all red with a cloak embroidered with the words, "Don't touch me, I am Red Death stalking abroad." Someone dares to touch him and nearly gets his wrist broken. Raoul happens to see the head of Red Death, and he recognizes him as the man from the graveyard. He wants to confront him, but Christine stops him. She confesses her love, he denies it, and tells her she made a fool of him. She takes off her mask, and he sees how worn out and sorrowful, full of sorrow she is. He begs forgiveness, but she runs away. These people get lots of exercise while it's running. He goes to her dressing room, and no one is there. He hears her coming and hides. She comes in and says, "Poor Eric." All of a sudden, there is beautiful singing heard, a man's voice, but Raoul can't see anyone. Raoul approaches Christine. She's looking in a mirror. Then Raoul is flung back by an icy blast. I don't know what that means, but Christine disappears, and Raoul is alone, and he's left wondering who Eric is and crying his eyes out. They're very weepy, these people. Chapter 10 is Forget the Name of the Man's Voice. Raoul goes to visit Christine's benefactress again, and surprise, surprise, Christine is there too. The three of them have this fight of sorts about Christine's actions and life choices. Raoul demands to know who the man is that has stolen Christine away. He is so jealous. He says he knows his name is Eric. Christine kills him. Okay. That'd be more interesting end to the story. Christine tells him to forget that name and his voice and stay out of her dressing room unless she sends for him. You tell him, Christine, you tell him. She says she'll see him tomorrow. That was the 3 chapters. We'll talk about 3 more chapters. Chapter 11 is Above the Trapdoors. Raoul and Christine talk, and he says that he's going on a polar expedition in a month or so. And she tells him they can't marry, but they can have a secret engagement till he leaves. They have fun making Raoul not want to leave Christine. Christine goes away for 2 days, comes back, and then she has success on the stage again. I'm not sure where she went. I mean, I guess she went to go visit the Phantom, but they explore the opera together. I think the opera has 17 stories. It's a big place. Christine seems to know everyone who works there. Raoul sees a trapdoor and wants to explore it, but Christine says to stay away from it. She says everything that is underground belongs to him. A trapdoor slams shut near them. They both think it could be Eric following them. They keep going up and up until they're like under the roof of the opera. And they don't notice, but a shadow was following them, and I wonder who the shadow was. LOL. Then chapter 12 is Apollo's lyre. Lyre, like the instrument lyre, L-Y-R-E. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I'm guessing it's not lyre, probably lyre. Raoul and Christine are on top of the roof now, and they sit and talk. Christine says she wants to get away from Eric, and Raoul and she make plans to run away tomorrow after her performance. Christine talks about how she had music lessons from Eric 3 months without seeing him, and she told Eric about seeing Raoul, and Eric didn't respond. He's jealous too. So she tells him Raoul is like a brother because she feared losing the voice. She recounts what happened the night that the chandelier came down. She feared for the voice's safety, so she rushed to her dressing room to see if he was there, I guess. She hears music. She feels compelled to come towards the mirror, and without knowing how she is outside the room, I believe, she goes through the mirror. I'm not really sure what I wrote there, but anyway, she goes through the mirror somehow. Like it's a secret passage. A bony hand grabs her and she faints. When she awakens, she's put on a horse. The stolen horse, no doubt. And they travel deeper underground until they come to a lake and a boat. They row to a drawing room. It's filled with flowers. I don't know why. The masked man tells her that not to be afraid, and I think she finally realizes the ghost and the voice and the angel music are the same person, finally. Christine tries to take Eric's mask off, but he stops her, saying she's in no danger as long as she doesn't touch the mask. So basically, Eric lives under the opera house. It's furnished like a house. Christine says, although she is scared of Eric, she doesn't hate him. I think she pities him, I guess. Essentially, Eric wants to keep Christine underground with him because he's like obsessed with her. Christine can't resist and tears off Eric's mask. She sees his hideous face, and he tells her he won't let her go ever now. So she stays there 2 weeks, gaining his confidence that he agreed to let her go as long as she promised to come back to visit, I guess. Raoul and Christine confess their love again and seal it with a kiss. But guess who's watching from the shadows? He saw them. He saw it all. He heard it all. So that was, I think, 6 chapters. I don't know. I think I just talked about 6. So I will update later. Hello. Time for another update. We are now on chapter 13. Chapter 13 is called A Master Stroke of the Trapdoor Lover. Christine and Raoul run away, and they see the Persian, who I still don't know that much about, and he tells them to run a certain way to reach the wings, which I think is main stage, or is that behind the stage? I don't know. And they talk about running away together. Christine is scared. It's a very repetitive section here. Eric has given Christine a ring and told her if she takes it off, he'll have his revenge. And Christine has lost the ring. Oh no. Raoul goes to bed and sees Eric's eyes like blazing coals, staring at him in the night. Raoul shoots, but it turns out to be a cat. Raoul and his brother argue over Raoul's seeming insanity. Philip thinks Christine is making a fool of Raoul and doesn't want them to marry. Raoul still plans to run away with Christine and goes about making plans, getting a carriage and all that. And Christina performs on stage. The lights go out very briefly, and Christine is gone. They certainly disappear a lot around here. Around these parts. So chapter 14 is called The Singular Attitude of a Safety Pin, which is one heck of a title. And everyone is frantic and what happened on stage and where's Christine, and they can't find the manager either or the gas man. The gas man, I believe, turns the lights on and off using gas, I guess. They find a manager who demands a safety pin. Everyone thinks the managers have gone mad because they've barricaded themselves in their office, don't want to be touched, and are walking backwards. There's a reason for that, it's explained later. Raoul shows up and asks where Christine is, all sorrow-stricken. Chapter 15 is called Christine, Christine, with exclamation point. Raoul thinks Eric is the culprit who has stolen Christine away. Me too. Raoul goes to her dressing room and tries to go through the mirror, but doesn't know how to open it. He also tries to get to the underground lake from a gate on the street, but to no avail. The police arrive and question people. The Persian shows up and cautions Raoul that Eric's secrets concern no one but himself. Chapter 16 had a long title. It's Madame Giry's astounding revelations as to her personal relations with the opera ghost. It's a doozy of a title. The managers have paid the ghost his 20,000 francs. They put the money in an envelope, hand it to Madame Giry, and she puts it in box 5. The managers watched the box to see if the ghost showed up. They didn't see anything, and when they looked in the envelope, it was still sealed, and the real money was gone and replaced by counterfeit. At least I think the money was fake, like they said it was from the Bank of Farce. I don't know. The managers suspect Madame Giry of being an accomplice, like to the ghost, with the ghost. She explains how she met the ghost. She found a letter addressed to herself in box 5. It said that her daughter Meg would be an empress. That made Madame Giry believe in the ghost for some reason. I don't know. The managers threatened to have Madame Giry arrested for being a thief, and she doesn't take it lightly. Then it got confusing because Madame Giry explained that she put the envelope with the 20,000 francs in one of the manager's pockets and put the fake money in box 5. I think this was because that way Eric could take the money from the manager's pocket himself, because this is safer than leaving it in the box. I don't know, it was kind of confusing, that part. And it was also kind of boring because I just want to hear about Christine's disappearance. Like, that's the most interesting part. And our last chapter for today was chapter 17. It's called The Safety Pin Again. The managers decide to reenact the money in the pocket scene. Why, I don't know. But at least it explains why the managers were acting weird with the walking backwards and all that, etc. I think they're trying to catch whoever took the money from his pocket. And we find out that the safety pin was for pinning the money to the pocket so no one could take it. But alas, when they check the pocket, the money is gone and the safety pin is still in place. I mean, that Eric is like a magician. He's a musician and a magician. Magician. Well, that's our chapters for today. I'll update you later. Hello, it is October 8th, and I am updating you with the vlog. I have 3 chapters to talk about today. Chapter 18 is called The Commissary, the Viscount, and the Persian. So everyone is wondering where Christine is. After all, she did vanish in the middle of the performance. Raoul tells the police the opera ghost took her. The police think he's a loon. The police tell Raoul that his brother has taken Christine away. I don't know where they came up with that story, but Raoul wants to go after them, but he is stopped by the Persian, which is how they refer to him. They don't give him a name. I don't know. Strange. So, chapter 19 is called The Viscount. I think it's a Viscount. And the Persian. The Persian assures Raoul that Christine is in fact with Eric. Do we have any doubt? The Persian says he'll take Raoul to Christine. They take guns with them, and the Persian shows Raoul how to go through Christine's mirror. It has a spring you press in the wall that makes it turn. Apparently Eric built the wall mechanism. So they go through the mirror, and we are on chapter 20, which is called In the Cellars of the Opera. Raoul and the Persian explore the cellars, which is basically just like the floors below the opera, below the ground, underground. They can hear the police through a partition in the wall, maybe? I don't know. There are also 3 supposedly dead bodies there, one who is responsible for that. The 3 people are the missing gas man and his assistants, and they're actually drugged, not dead. He showed restraint. Raoul and the Persian go down the 5 cellars, and they see a head of fire, and they're terrified. The fiery head turns out to be a rat catcher with a lantern. They thought his head was on fire, is beyond me, but I guess they're scared. The Persian says getting to Eric's lair type thing, underground house on the lake thing, is impossible because it's well guarded. By who? I don't know. I guess by Eric. They reach the house on the lake by the 3rd cellar, and then they go through a hole in the wall and land in the torture chamber. And that's your update. The next few chapters I'm going to, I guess, do all in one video because they're kind of related. And they were actually, I think, maybe like the most interesting chapter so far. Like, I really liked the way these chapters were told, I guess. So look out for that. Hello. It is October 10th, and I'm going to update you with more chapters. So we are on chapter 21, and that is called An Interesting and Instructive Vicissitudes of a Persian in the Cellars of the Opera. These next few chapters, chapters 21 to 25, are from the Persian's manuscript, which he left behind. Behind where? I don't know. And he talks about how much he wanted to see the house on the lake, but Eric always refused to show him. So one day he tried to go there himself on the boat, but he hears the music of a supposed siren in the water, and he leans farther and farther over the side of the boat until 2 monstrous arms grab him and pull him under. Of course it's Eric, and Eric recognizes the Persian and swims him to shore. So are they buds? I don't know. Eric explains he breathes through a reed when he's underwater. The Persian reprimands Eric for tricking him and told him he promised not to murder anyone since the Persian saved Eric's life. Ooh, backstory. I don't know much more about it though. Why did he save his life? How did he save his life? I don't know. Eric denies having anything to do with the chandelier falling. I don't believe him. And he calls the Persian Daroga, which is Persian for police chief. So the Persian is part of the police, I guess. Anyway, the Persian discovered Christina and Eric's love affair, and he thinks it'll only lead to trouble. Eric does not want him interfering, and even tells him he can't take a hint. I laughed so hard that it was hilarious. Take a hint. I don't want you here. The Persian said that if Eric can prove Christine actually loves him, the Persian would stop meddling. And as we know, Christine does visit Eric, but she loves Raoul instead. And we learned some backstory of Eric. He lived in India and learned the art of strangulation. That's how he kills, I guess. We also learned that Eric helped build the opera house and the house on the lake, of course, so we can add architect to the list of his many careers. What a talented guy. Chapter 22 is called In the Torture Chamber. So Raoul and the Persian are in Eric's torture chamber Like, that's where he kills. I don't really get why he has one of those, but they overhear Eric telling Christine he wants to marry her, he loves her, blah blah blah. Anyway, Raoul and the Persian have no way out from the torture chamber, no door that they can see, and they want Christine to open the door for them, but she's tied up. Eric tied her up because she tried to kill herself. Dark. But apparently she's gonna die anyway at 11 p.m. the next evening. It's very specific. If she doesn't agree to marry Eric, he'll kill everybody and himself. Eric does untie her because she says her wrists hurt. Like, as a lie, like, to get him to untie her so she can save the two guys. Christine gets this bag that has keys in it, and one of the keys will unlock the torture chamber door. Chapter 23, The Tortures Begin. Eric catches Christine with the bag, however, and snatches it back. Raoul makes a noise, unfortunately, and Eric hears it, and is positive there's someone in the torture chamber. He tells Christine to check, and she lies and says no one's there. Eric and Christine chat. He tells her he's a fantastic ventriloquist. He can throw his voice in any direction or place. That's how he spoke to people without them seeing him, and also he was responsible for Carlotta's voice crack on stage. Eric projects his voice into the torture chamber, which apparently designed like a forest with like a tree or trees, I'm not sure. He obviously knows Raoul and the Persian are in there. Suddenly it gets super hot in the room, and Raoul and the Persian are sweating to death. Chapter 24 is called Barrels, Barrels, Any Barrels to Sell. So without Christine's help, Raoul and the Persian must escape the room before they are roasted alive. The Persian begins searching for a spring to open along the walls, which are covered with mirrors, so it's like a mirror room. So everything's reflected in the room like a house of mirrors. So I guess that's why I think it looks like a forest, because they can see the tree in the mirror, so it looks like a whole bunch of them. I don't know. They begin to hear noises, a lion's roar, and they see an oasis. They're so thirsty, obviously. The heat is affecting their minds. They're getting a bit loony. Just when they're thinking of killing themselves, the Persian sees a nail in the floor, and he presses it, and a trapdoor opens. They go through it immediately, feeling cool air. They come into a room full of barrels, and open one thinking it's water or wine, but it's not. It's gunpowder. Chapter 25 is called The Scorpion or the Grasshopper. Which? Yes, Eric is going to blow up the opera house. They try to figure out what time it is, whether it's almost 11 p.m. yet, but they can't since they don't know how long they were in the sweaty room. They return to the mirror room, which isn't hot anymore, I don't know why. Once again, they hear Christine on the other side of the wall, and she tells them that it'll be 11 p.m. in 5 minutes. Eric has told Christine that if she turns this grasshopper statue, that'll be her saying no, she won't marry him. And if she turns the scorpion statue, that'll mean she will marry him. I don't know what the point is of the statue turning. Like, I don't know, I guess it just adds drama. Not that it's needed. It's already very traumatic. Eric shows up and they bicker about which one to turn. Eventually she turns the scorpion. I guess she thinks it'll save everyone, but water begins to rise from below, threatening to drown Raoul and the Persian. Oh no! So those are our chapters for today. So I believe we have just one chapter left and then an epilogue. And then I think after the epilogue there's like a little write-up about the actual opera house. So I'll go through that too. We are so near in the end. I feel like it's been going along really fast, actually. I don't know. And I do think I'm enjoying it more this time. Hello. It is October 21st, and this is the last update of the vlog. We are ready to talk about the last 3 chapters. So we left off on chapter 26, which is called The End of the Ghost Love Story. So the Persian and Raoul awaken to find themselves not drowned, but in Eric's house. They were saved by Eric to please Christine. The Persian, when he next awakens, is at home, and when he recovered enough, he went to go see Raoul. And apparently Raoul is missing, and his brother Philip is dead. Philip was found on the bank of the lake. Obviously, Eric had gotten to him. Eric visits the Persian, looking very weak and sickly, and the Persian asks him what he did to Raoul and Christine. He says he let them go because Christine kissed Eric. That made him overjoyed, and he knew Christine loved Raoul, so he let them go, presumably to get married and live happily ever after. Eric also says he's dying of love, and that when he did die, he wanted the Persian to inform Christine and to advertise it in the paper. I'm not sure why, but it does say that he made Christine swear to come back and bury him, and 3 weeks later he died. So that's essentially the end, but there is an epilogue. The epilogue was very repetitive. It just kind of goes over like everything that kind of happened. They just talk about how everyone was shocked at the disappearance of all these people. And Eric tricked the old opera managers into doing what he wanted because they were superstitious. And the money situation with the new managers is also mentioned. It says Eric gave the money back. Why, I don't know, but I guess he didn't need it anymore. Eric had secret passages all over the opera. That was how he moved around and spoke to people without being seen. Then there's some Eric backstory. He was born near Rouen, and he's the son of a master mason, and he ran away at a young age, and he became an exhibit in fairs as the living corpse. He's been all over Europe learning his magic, music, and architecture skills. In Persia, which is where he met the Persian. There Eric built a palace for the Shah, but was ordered to be killed because he knew the secrets of the building. The Persian helped Eric escape because Eric had shown him some slight services and made him laugh a lot. They go to Paris where Eric helps build the opera house. We know all that. Eric's skeleton is found and he's wearing the ring he gave Christine, so I'm guessing she kept her promise to bury him. And the author thinks Eric's skeleton belongs in the archives of the National Academy of Music because it's no ordinary skeleton. And that's it, folks. That was the end. Was the ending sad? Kind of. I guess. For Eric, anyway. But then he's the bad guy. And I'd say this experiment was a success. I did understand the story more, like making notes about it. And of course it was fun too. So it's a win-win. And then they do have a little short note at the back of the book about the opera house, so I just kind of made some notes about that too. And they talk about the building as described in Scribner's magazine in 1879. And the site for the opera house was chosen in 1861, and they had to use pumps for the water while they were building, because I guess they dug too deep and they hit water. In 1870, it was turned into a military storehouse during the Franco-Prussian War. The stone used in the construction came from quarries in Sweden, Scotland, Italy, Algeria, Finland, Spain, Belgium, and France. And there's marble, stone, and gilded bronze. And on top of the roof, there are 2 Pegasus statues. In the middle is on the roof is the statue of Apollo with his lyre, which is where Raoul and Christine they meet under that in the book. And there are 16 columns out front. And the grand staircase is white marble with a railing of red and green marble. And then there's just more facts about the opera house, but I will read you one part that I thought was pretty interesting. It's just a bunch of numbers. There are 2,531 doors and 7,593 keys, 14 furnaces in Great Heath House. The gas pipes, if connected, would form a pipe almost 16 miles long. There are 9 reservoirs, and 2 tanks hold 22,222 gallons of water and distribute their contents through 22,829 2 to 5 feet of piping. And there's 538 persons have places assigned wherein to change their attire, and the musicians have a foyer with 100 closets for their instruments. It's a big place. So that was it. We reached the end of Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. So that's it for that. But I also made some other notes about, like, talking about all the movies that I've seen and, like, the books that I've read, want to read, want to see. So I've seen the one from 1925. That's the silent film with Lon Chaney, and I think it's really good. And then I've seen the one from 2004 film with Gerard Butler, which is also really good. And then I saw on YouTube 2 stage performances. One was from 2011, which was The Phantom of the Opera. And then I saw one called Love Never Dies from 2012, which is kind of like a sequel, I guess, to the musical. And then I made a list of ones that I'd like to see, and I have found some of them on YouTube, so I have been watching them. Like, I found one from 1990, which I watched, and it was good. It had Charles Dance in it, who I don't really know who that is. Then I found one from 1991, which had, who is the Phantom in that? Oh, I don't remember who the Phantom was in that one. And then I also watched one from 1987, which was animated, which was cute. And then a book that I've read that was based on Phantom of the Opera is Roseblood by A.G. Howard, and it was okay, average. And then I found some other books that I would like to check, see if I can find too. Phantom of Manhattan by Frederick Forsyth. I think that's kind of like what the sequel of called Love Never Dies was based on, but I'm not sure. And there's one called Phantom Heart by Kelly Korea. I'm not sure what that's about. I don't think it's come out yet, but and then there's Phantom by Susan Kay, which I think is like telling Eric's backstory, the Phantom's backstory. I don't know. Things to check out anyway. So that's it. That's all.